I think it's plausible. I think it's plausible. Something
Yeah.
I was wondering, you were talking about how people in New York like a star, and we often blame Dolan for the awful moves that he has traditionally made up until this one move that he probably didn't even know about it. I doubt he even knew Lim was on the roster, but it worked out. What I'm wondering is, do you think it's all Dolan, or do you think that the culture and climate of New York, with the way people crave a star and sort of crave hype, almost animates Dolan to make some bad decisions and sort of this pursuit of instant gratification? Do you think that there's an element of it, or do you think that this is the dismal Knicks era has originated solely from him?
No, there is an element of that, and I think it gets misrepresented in a lot of ways because what it is New Yorkers are just super busy. We've got things going on. We're walking around worried about getting hired somewhere, getting fired somewhere, making a deal, going to an audition, trying to make the train and hang out with your kids and stuff like that. So when the team sucks, when a team that you like sucks, you really start to question why you're wasting your time on it. So that's kind of the impetus behind a lot of the why a lot of people will chant for Phil Jackson and things like that. We just want to believe that there's got to be a way that this can just change. But I actually do think that the quick build narrative has kind of faded off from a lot of Knicks fans. Understand that it takes time to build a winning team, especially during the Walsh era. He was very good at selling that narrative of, hey, we've got to tear down, and it's going to take a while.
Well, you wrote a very you changing gears without a segue. You wrote a very interesting article on that. That's what happens when gears get changed. You wrote a very interesting article on basketball elitism. For those who haven't read it, and you should, it's on SB Nation. Summarize what it means to be a basketball elitist and some of perhaps the negative consequences of basketball elitism in the culture.
I think it means people like us, who really have a passion for understanding the game on deeper levels than the average fan. Understanding why certain plays work, why certain players work together, why certain players that don't put up numbers are important to a team concept. And I think that kind of understanding is lost on the casual fan, and we need to understand that sometimes they don't care about that, and to make them care about that is really the job of people like us who are trying to communicate these things. You can't just put it out there like stereo instructions. You've got to put it out there in a way that people are interested in it and don't get annoyed when people don't care about Shane Battier, don't understand why he's good, don't.
Mr. Work, big fan of your article, by the way, and I love you on Twitter. Let's talk about race for a second. I know we don't have much time to get into it, but does it bother you that it bothers
Let's
people?
have a cursory discussion of race.
Yes.
Race is an issue with this. I mean, people seem to get mad that if, no one cares what Floyd Mayweather thinks, but people get mad that if, he was black or he was white and he wasn't Asian, that no one would essentially care about the story. But doesn't that matter that he's Asian?
It matters. I think it's hard for people who are the majority culture to understand how important role models are for people who don't have that. You look everywhere you look around, the culture at large is giving you cues about how society views you and values you. If I was a American of European descent, I could think, oh, there's about every single president but one, and 98% of the Fortune 500 CEOs. I could think of any field of endeavor and go, I've seen a person that looks like me succeed at that. So that's why it's been really special for Asian Americans. I don't want to speak for them, but for me, it's just cool to see someone who looks at me doing something that I really enjoy watching. That's not a caricature of something else.
Do you think that because he's Asian or because he's on the Knicks, or it's both that this has become such a, such a topic of discussion?
I think it's just the newness of it. Anytime something new comes along, people want to talk about it, want to be interested in it. This is not just his accomplishments or something that are historic in terms of the numbers he's putting up. He's doing it in the biggest market in the league, and it's of a background that we've never seen before succeed at this level of NBA basketball. So the whole thing is just new. But at the core of it, you can't take away the fact that he's putting up these just absurd numbers. And I think that sometimes some of the criticism of him, or some of the criticism of the hype, isn't quite pointed enough to separate the fact that, yes, his Asianness adds to it, but that's not the story.
It's kind of the Russell Westbrook defense of, they're winning, so it doesn't matter how many turnovers he has. Lynn's averaging a lot of turnovers in this stint. Does it matter because they're winning? I mean, is it anything that you are concerned about, or they're getting wins, so it doesn't matter?
I mean, the turnovers are a problem. The upside of the turnovers is a lot of them are derived from the right idea executed wrongly. So, that's a positive, because if he just does it better, doesn't telegraph his passes so much, I think he can really cut those down. I'm positive about the turnovers because I think that's really something that he can improve on. And despite those things, he's had a galvanizing effect on everybody else on the team in terms of their positions and their effectiveness within the team.
I've got 2 more questions for you, quick ones.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like this has saved, at least momentarily, Mike D'Antoni's job. Things were getting pretty bleak. Do you think that it has saved his job, and are you happy about that?
Well, I never really subscribed to his job being in jeopardy this year. I think the question is whether he'll get an extension because of this, and I think that's still an open question. And what was the second question?
Are you happy about that?
Oh, I think, they're a top 10 defensive efficiency team now, which was always that was the stick used to beat him with. Obviously need to see more, but I'm happy with the way things are going. I wouldn't be dissatisfied at all to see him stay on should things continue this way.
Okay, my last question for you, having to go back to race a little bit. This is from Miles Brown. What is the square root of your apartment?
The square root of my what?
Of your apartment.
I don't understand that. I've never been good at math, guys. I'm good at Kung Fu only. Kung Fu and making kimchi.
Excellent.
That's diverse. Kung Fu is...
If you can do those at the same time,
kimchi
that's a
is
special
Korean.
skill.
So I don't know
Good
who
job,
I am.
man.
That's part of the problem.
Well, now everyone has seen your face, so expect the masses to hoard you on the subways of New York City. This is the most watched show called HoopSpeak Live on the internet.
No, come on.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you guys are going to
Yeah, we're number 1.
Production value here is just terrible. Guys, it's time to
We
notch
pride
it
ourselves
up.
on that.
It's time to notch it up.
It's part of the kish. Yeah, exactly.
It can't be
All right,
free.
man.
All right.
Thanks a lot for coming on. It was really awesome.
Thanks.